And good morning. Welcome in again. It's another installment of Trust Matters Real Estate and Estate Planning Solutions with Gateville Law Firm and Sean Robertson. And Sean joins us in studio for another show today. Sean, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing today, Mike?
Doing pretty good. Today we're kind of revisiting a topic that we've hit the last couple of shows because it's pretty important, and it's one that folks might not think too much about, especially when you're young and healthy and you feel good about the future. We're talking about wills and trusts. Maybe it's for especially parents with younger children, which we focused on last week. But in a case where you have a will or a trust, maybe time goes by and circumstances change, things change in your life or the lives of the people that you've set up as guardians or what have you, and you might need the ability to adjust or amend those things. So that's kind of what our focus is today, right?
Right, correct. Yeah, a lot of times what we find are maybe somebody had some documents when they had young children and now the kids are older, or maybe it's even their parents where the kids are adults now. So a lot of times it's important to amend your documents, your will and trust, and we do help with that. And sometimes what we find, unfortunately, somebody created a trust, but that attorney or they never transfer the assets into the trust name, which means the estate plan is not going to realize its potential.
So what happens in a situation like that?
So you could have a probate situation, unfortunately. So one of the key concepts with the trust is you have to transfer your assets to the trust name, and we do help people with that. Like, for example, if you have a trust, it's important that your house be in trust, because if your house isn't in trust, it's not going to pass consistent with the terms of the trust. And not only that, but the other issue we see is a lot of people have bank accounts where they have individual name beneficiaries. The way the trust is supposed to work is you're supposed to have your bank accounts and your investments in the trust name, and then that way if you become incapacitated or die, those assets transfer smoothly, consistent with the way your trust is written.
So much to think about, so much red tape if things go wrong or aren't done officially. And we were talking before we started our show today about there are people that try to do this on their own without a professional helping, right?
Yeah, correct. And doing your own estate planning is not a good idea. Like I was just explaining to you earlier, that we have somebody that a parent tried to write their own trust, and it was probably improperly witnessed, meaning, one of my clients, one of the beneficiaries of the trust, had their spouse witness it. At the time, he wasn't a spouse, he was a fiance, and his mom also witnessed it. So it just creates a gray area, and if we go to probate court, I wouldn't be surprised that the will may be challenged where it may not be effective. So that's one of the challenges of trying to do your own documents.
The process of making amendments to a will or a trust, not a big deal, or is it really complicated?
It's a case by case. So normally what happens is somebody calls us and we'll take a look at the documents that you have. Sometimes we just create a new trust or a new document, and sometimes it's just a simple tweak. So it just depends on the client's situation, what their goals are.
Any final bits of advice on this particular thing? Obviously, the main advice is to give you guys a call and let you take over and start the process. But what are some things people should know, whether it's about amending or anything in this field?
I think the big thing that I keep hearing is I had somebody recently try to change beneficiaries with the power of attorney for property. There's a lot of problems with powers of attorney are good, but I think a lot of times having assets in a trust name will solve a lot of problems that people have. And the power of attorney is kind of retrospective, where you're going to have to maintain the status quo unless you have specific language written in the power of attorney. So that's why you want counsel, so you don't make the mistakes that you make with trial and error.
Yeah, there's too many areas here where just one little slight change or wording or something might not get done properly. You need some professional help to get you through this most important stuff, and that's where Sean and the folks at Gateville Law Firm come in. They are there to take your call and get you started on the process. 630-780-1034. Online too at gatevillelawfirm.com. Our show is called Trust Matters, Real Estate and Estate Planning Solutions. Check them out at gatevillelawfirm.com. They're in Yorkville, and we'll talk to you again at the same time next week.